What's going on, everyone? Welcome to a new episode of Mostly Wrong Opinions. I'm Tyrone. That's Devin. Let's cut the BS. Let's get straight into the movie of Dune 2021.
Arrakis is a death trap. Kill them. This is an extermination.
And it is a movie that has been pushed back from last year to this year. It was filmed probably in 2018, probably 2019. It is the remake of the 1984 movie that came out.
And not really. It's more of an adaptation of the book.
Yeah, adaptation. It's definitely more close to the adaptation book because the 1984 movie is comical. but
haven't seen it, by the way. Just full disclosure.
I've seen like bits and pieces. I saw Sting come out there all naked and stuff.
Right. Right.
He's like.
I believe. I haven't seen that movie, but I believe the character Sting played is the character that Dave Bautista was playing.
We're brothers, we're happy and we're singing and we're colored. Give me a high five.
Now, it didn't look the same because this movie, Dune, didn't go nearly as deep into the book as you expect. Like, this is like, the movie ended and I was like, oh, we are barely scratching the surface of the book. We barely even, and I'm talking about the first book. I think there are 7 Dune books, which I have not read all 7. I've only read the first one. So they've barely scratched the surface of like Dune lore. And I was quite surprised by that.
Now, what I'm going to say, people, I'm going to tell you my impressions of this. I really like this movie. Okay. The reason why I like this movie is because it has great pacing, beautiful landscapes, and the director was it Denis
Villeneuve, I believe is how you pronounce it.
Denis Villeneuve is awesome.
Yeah, we also watched Blade Runner 2049, and they are kind of shot kind of similarly, where both movies are like dominated by these like long shots of landscapes. Like he'll just like the camera will just like pan up to this like beautiful like landscape shot, and they do that a lot in Dune. Mm-hmm. But you're talking about his style. I think what's interesting about his style is like, and I think this leads to what you're saying about pacing, where his movies, all his scenes, not all, but some of his scenes they seem to start like a little too early. Like the shot will start and you'll be like, what is this? What am I looking at? and then characters will walk in, something will happen, and you're like, oh, okay, I see. And I think that style makes the world feel more lived in. Like it makes it feel like the camera cut just a little bit too early, and you saw something you weren't supposed to see. Like, so in this movie, for example, in Dune, there's a sequence where Paul and Lady Jessica are in the tent. He's like, all right, let's get out of the tent. So they start to get out of the tent, and then it cuts to this mound of sand, and you're like, what? And then a little mouse comes and cleans his ears and drinks a little water, and you're like, what the hell? And then boom, they come out of the sand. But that like pause makes the world feel a lot more real. You're breathing within the world, you know? Yeah. It makes it feel like when the camera's not on, things are happening in the world too. So I think that's a very cool style, and like you said earlier, it makes the pacing feel very different from other movies, which I think for some people might feel slow. Yeah. But for me, I quite enjoyed it.
Some people, his directing style and his pacing and the writing was great for me too. But it may not be everyone's cup of tea. Right. The story of Dune is very convoluted. It's very long. Well, the whole galaxy, basically, people, has this resource. It's called spice. Okay, and spice powers the engine to be able to do intergalactic travel on all spaceships around the galaxy. It also is like a cure-all, be-all type of.
Yeah, it's like a psychoactive drug too. Yeah, apparently you can eat it somehow. Yeah. It's a little bit of everything.
So on this planet, the people that live this planet is getting punked. Okay, and by the Emperor and who's the other people that he had there before? The Emperor's people that were there before?
The Harkonnens. Well, I always pronounce it Harkonnen, but in this movie they pronounce it Harkonnen.
Harkonnen.
Yeah.
They
Harkonnens or Harkonnens.
They were some ravaging people who just siphoned the whole planet. And I'll let Devin explain this more this part. He's actually read the book. I ain't got the time.
I did read the book, and you know what? I'm gonna be blunt, and I don't know if this is controversial or not, but I don't recommend the book. It's very dense. It's very long, and at times it can be quite dry. The back of the book literally has an encyclopedia in it. Like it is dense. Like you said, the planet of Arrakis, it has this compound on it called spice, which can be mined to do like everything on it. So it's a super valuable planet. The House of Atreides, they suddenly are stewards of this planet, and this is super valuable. And they're like, why are we suddenly stewards of this? And this smells kind of fishy. How come the Harkonnens aren't doing it? So they're very wary about it, and it feels very ominous. It's like, oh, you're getting Arrakis now. And so the leader of House Atreides,
the Duke,
Leto, Duke Leto, he's like, we're gonna make the best of this. We're gonna mine a lot of spice, and we're gonna do it by befriending the natives instead of like going there and like fucking them up like the Harkonnens did.
Yeah,
we're gonna befriend them. But this is all a setup to get rid of the House Atreides and start a war to get rid of House Atreides and the Fremen, the locals on the planet Arrakis.
Yep.
Meanwhile, the main character, his name is Paul, and he seems to be a special little boy.
He's supposed to be Space Jesus.
GP, are you with me?
Yes, he is
Star
Space
Lord
Jesus.
Space Jesus.
That's right, he is Space Jesus. And this is one of the things that I was very wary about this film about, because the character Paul, he is one of the most famous archetypal characters there is.
Yep.
He's the character that Luke Skywalker was based off of. Tatooine was based loosely off of Arrakis. Paul Atreides is also the character that Neo from The Matrix is based off of. Like, there's a lot of characters who use this particular Space Jesus type character as their template, you know. But in the book and in the movie, he's kind of personalityless, and I worried a bit how would this translate. But I think Timothée Chalamet, and this is actually my first movie watching Timothée Chalamet.
Yes, it is mine too.
To be completely honest, I for some reason this movie is just, I never watched him. But Timothée Chalamet, he did, I think, like a really good job. Like, I was like, wow, this guy's great. Just with like his facial expressions and his posture, you can feel like that like teenage angst without him actually being angsty, you know? Yeah. So I think he brings a lot of like soul and character to what could be a kind of bland cardboard cutout type of character. I think he killed it. I was quite surprised.
He killed it. And Stellan Skarsgård as the Baron. Okay, the Baron is a disgusting, power-hungry, manipulative jerk that is supposed to be. Now, if you're going back to Star Wars, he's supposed to be like the Darth Vader. Okay.
Yep. He's got quite a presence. Also in the book, and I was wondering how they were going to do this in the movie. In the book, this Baron Harkonnen is so fat that he can't walk anymore. Right. That he uses this like harness type of deal, and it just like carries him around. In this movie, he like floats, and it is the eeriest, most bizarre thing in the world. It is so creepy. I'm like, what? And he's wearing like this long gown that just like floats around while this big fat body like floats. Creepy. He seems to have something on his spine that like makes him like hover. Yeah. And you're right, he had a lot of presence, and he was quite intimidating. Yeah,
there's only two Skarsgårds in my mind that is amazing actors: him and his son Bill. Everyone else is pretty boys. So
let's talk about though what I think is, and this is not a slight to Timothée Chalamet. This is not a slight to Denis Villeneuve, but the real star of this movie, the true star, is the score. Like I went to the theater and watched this, and I was like, it was crazy. I've never watched a movie and been like, yo, you heard that score? But this one is wild. Hans Zimmer famously turned down Christopher Nolan's work in Tenet to do this movie because making the soundtrack to Dune was like a lifelong goal of his. This was like one of the reasons why he became a composer.
Right.
So he abandoned one of his good friends to make this movie. And you can tell that he'd probably been stewing over some of these themes like his whole life.
He was like, yo.
And
he was like, yo, I'm about to go in the lab. Like Dr. Strange.
And he did, yo. And this movie and I feel like the movie, Denis Villeneuve, he probably heard that soundtrack and was like, damn.
God damn!
Because he lets these songs play. Like there are long stretches of this film where we just see like landscapes and listen to music and it's like, oh.
Cheeto with my burrito. I'm like, is she hungry?
She might be. And then he's got like some bagpipes playing at one point and some like synth music. I'm like, what is this score? And I think this score really, if he doesn't get at least nominated, he's gonna get nominated. This man, I've never heard a score and be like, that man deserves an Oscar. But this one, oh my God, killed it. I think this is the true star of Dune.
Get the soundtrack now at Walmart or Best Buy.
Yeah, right.
The latest hits from the Zimmer man.
Yeah, I really like the soundtrack, and it really helped to propel this movie, especially since this movie kind of, to me, it felt like it like cut short.
Man,
that's probably a good thing.
Like,
but that's a good thing that it felt that way because this is a 3-hour movie. And I'm sitting here expecting more. So that's always a good time.
Yeah.
Like
that ending, man, it made me like, we're not going to spoil it for you guys. There's an ending in this. If you haven't,
you can spoil it. This is based on a book that's been out since like
1964. Yeah,
it's okay. You'll be all right. It's like you talking about like the Bible or something. Like, I don't want to spoil it, but spoilers. You know, spoilers. He dies at the end, but there's a twist. You know,
he raised from the dead.
Yeah, exactly.
On which 7th day.
Yeah, that's right.
And guess what? He died for your sins, cuz. I can't believe it. Paul Atreides, you know, he has like this power, and it's this power is called the Voice. And he also has these visions where you don't know if these visions are like of the future or if it's of the past, and he gets stranded. Him and his mother, Jessica. What's the people's name again? The Fremen. The Fremen. They are like this tribal people, and you know, they've been fighting the Harkonnens for like forever, and but they meet up with them. They have this battle, bro. They have this battle to basically to fight for the leader of the clan. And it was like some great hand-to-hand combat, you know what I'm saying? I was like, yo, this is dope.
But I think what made it great, I mean, I'll be honest, I don't know if the fight was that great, right? I don't know. It was fine. I think what made it feel more epic was Denis Villeneuve's directing, and that he really built that fight up, right? Like we understood as the audience, we understood that he was supposed to die in this fight, right? And so it made it feel a lot more tense because you're like, okay, I guess he's gonna die here, and it kind of feels like it because this is a 3-hour movie. The movie's been going for 3 hours. You're like, you know, he could die here, right? Now me, because I read the book, I know he ain't gonna fucking die, but it did make that fight feel a lot bigger. You know what I mean?
Don't worry, people. Zendaya's in the movie, okay? She's in there, a little cute self, but she's only in there for like a quarter, if that.
Kinda. I think she might have like 8 minutes of screen time in total, and she's really big on the poster. So,
so
I know a lot of people are going to be quite shocked about that.
She'll probably have a bigger role in the second movie. But here's the thing, people. It has been reported that this film, it says at the beginning of this film, it says part 1 of Dune Part 1, but it was never promoted as a part 1 to a part 2. Nope. And they haven't even started filming for a part 2. Tell them why, Devin.
Well, shit.
I was quite surprised when the title came up and it was not called Dune, it was called Dune Part 1. I was like, oh, that's different. Because, those things are important for like financial reasons, like the title and stuff like that. And so for the title to be different when you watch the movie, you're like, oh, okay. To me, that tells me they were confident about this film. They felt confident that it would be popular enough for a sequel. But the reason why the sequel has not been filmed, I'm not sure if even paperwork has been drafted for a sequel yet, is because of another movie we watched today. We also watched Blade Runner 2049.
Yep.
The world is built on a wall that separates kind. Tell either side there's no wall, you bought a war.
And while Blade Runner 2049 was critically acclaimed, it bombed. It bombed hard. Even though his movies are like super acclaimed, people, they just don't show up. Right? And so I think Warner Brothers was hedging their bets, and they didn't want to fund a big sprawling film not knowing if it was going to be successful. And I want to give some props to Warner Brothers, because I rag on DC all the time, DC films. Yeah. So let me give some props to Warner Brothers for actually backing up the money truck into Denis Villeneuve's living room and allowing him to make this film. That took a lot of balls. So that's quite refreshing that they did that, especially for a new franchise. It's not really new, but it feels new compared to like Marvel or something. Let's talk about some of the themes of Dune, because Dune is, I think, both the book and the movie, they do a really good job, or they do what I think fiction is supposed to do, and what especially science fiction is supposed to do. It talks about these really big themes, but they package it in a way that's a little bit more easier to digest, and it's not like in your face, like boom, right? So it is obvious, though. This shit isn't subtle, right? It is obvious that the planet Arrakis, aka Dune, is supposed to be like the Middle East, right? The Fremen, the Fremen are all Middle Eastern people. And spice is very much like oil today. Yep, where people go into the Middle East, they absolutely destroy towns, countries, villages, all of that for the pursuit of oil. And the local people, the Fremen in the movie Dune, they get the short end of the stick, right? Even though this is their planet, they get kicked around and pushed around. Meanwhile, these imperialists come in and steal their natural resource. So I think this movie and the book does try and comment on that. Like, I think the Harkonnens and House Atreides, they're essentially, Europeans. They're like white people. Yeah. They come in and they steal all the resources for either political gain or some sort of financial gain, and the locals get shit, Yeah. And this is very interesting, and I like that quite a bit. But it is awkward in that both the book and the movie have a little bit of a problem with it. The movie did it probably a little better than the book, in my opinion. In that,
what's this problem, Devin?
In that the main character is a little white boy who can out-brown the brown people, right? Immediately, right? You know what I'm saying? They've been living on Arrakis their whole lives, breathing in spice for generations, and they can't do a third of what he does, right? And he comes down, and suddenly he's Space Jesus. Space Jesus, is exactly. He's a little white boy from space, and I'm like, for me in the book,
come my children.
Exactly. For me in the book, I was very frustrated by that in the book. It didn't bother me nearly as much in the movie. I think they smoothed it over a little bit, but it's still that that weirdness, that awkwardness is still present. But let's also contrast that to Blade Runner 2049, where in that film it was full spoilers for that film, by the way.
Full spoilers, people.
Yeah,
full spoilers.
We diving all the way in. In that movie, we think that Ryan Gosling is a Jesus-like character. He seems to, like, at one point where he's really sure that he is this special robot, this robot who was born, right? That's what made him special, because he stumbles across this evidence that there was a baby. 2 robots had a baby, and he's like, how? And then they're like, well, where's the baby? And then he thinks he's the baby, right? And he's like, oh, is it me? Am I the special boy? And it turns out he's not, right? It's almost the exact opposite of Dune, where in Dune, Timothée Chalamet's character is Space Jesus. He is the special boy, where in Blade Runner 2049, also directed by Denis Villeneuve, Ryan Gosling is not. And he thinks he is. He just assumes he is. And when you really think about it, think about the audacity to assume that you are that person. But he just assumes he is. And you as the audience, you kind of buy into it because he seems like he's the main character. And that is what happens in most films, thanks to books like Dune. But it didn't happen. And so I like that. I like that twist. It was the exact opposite twist of Dune.
Let me say something, people. I did not see the original Blade Runner. I saw about 15 minutes of the original Blade Runner. And you know what happened after that? I don't remember because I woke up the next day. Because I was asleep. All right.
and that's, I don't blame you. I have seen it and I actually really love it. I think it's a great film, but it is slow. It is like deadly slow. And so, and that movie it's weird too. It's weird as hell. It's like jazz music playing while like you see all this like Technicolor neon stuff. It's bizarre. It's a weird movie. And so it's not for everyone. But I don't think you really needed to see the original Blade Runner to enjoy 2049. There are a couple little nods here and there that you probably didn't pick up. Yeah. But other than that, like for example, Ryan Gosling goes to the nursing home and sees Deckard's old partner, and that was of course a fan favorite character. But I'm pretty sure if you haven't seen Blade Runner, you're like, who the fuck is this? And why is he folding origami?
So this is this old dude.
Yeah, you're like, and why is he folding origami? What's up with that? You know, but that does come to play in I believe the director's cut of Blade Runner. Blade Runner's freaking weird because there's like a million cuts of that film because it too also bombed, and so they kept trying to recut it and re-edit it to try and make it work, and none of that shit worked. So there's a bunch of cuts, a bunch of edits. I think the director's cut's probably the definitive one, and that's probably the one I'm going to be referring to in this film. But yeah, I don't blame you for not seeing the original Blade Runner, dude.
The thing about this film, it's quiet. It's really just centered around Ryan Gosling's performance. That's it. That's the whole thing, his performance.
You're right. And compared to Dune, like this movie, 2049 has like virtually no dialogue compared to Dune. Like it is quiet.
It's a mystery. That's what kept me intrigued. It is a mystery on who this person is. That's the only intriguing part other than just the visuals and stuff about it. If it wasn't for that mystery, I'd probably be bored out of my mind. As soon as that mystery kicked in, where they found out about the bones being buried in the farm where Dave Bautista was, I was like, ooh. And it was like, this replicant was pregnant. And they can't be pregnant, you know, because these replicants, you know, they're made by this new guy named Wallace, which is played by Jared Leto. And Jared Leto is like, I've been making all these replicants after the fall of the previous company,
the Tyrell Corporation.
The Tyrell Corporation. Sounds super black. And
I always think that too. I'm like, man, is Tyrell a black man? But no, he's not.
I'm about to make these robots, and make them slaves, because you know how they did.
Kind of. That kind of is part of what happens in Blade Runner.
See?
Ryan Gosling, he hunts down replicants, right? And so he hunted down a replicant and found evidence of a body hidden under a tree. Turns out this body was a robot body, which felt impossible, because it was like old, and they're like, what is this? And this robot body seemed to have given birth, and they're like, how can a replicant give birth? And you're right, Jared Leto, he makes robots now. He has taken over from the Tyrell Corporation, and he's like, I'm tired of making robots. I can't make them fast enough. But if they can give birth, I need that technology. And Tyrell had it, but he doesn't. So he's like, get me them bones, get me that baby.
Sir, grab me that creation. But sir, it's just cement. Grab me that creation.
I need to make some robots that can create their own offspring. That way, I don't have to keep making these things over and over again. So you're right. Yeah. He sends out another character named Love, another robot, another replicant to.
I hate her.
To stop. Yeah, she did great. The actors did awesome. But to stop Ryan Gosling from getting to the bottom of where this baby is, and Ryan Gosling thinks he's the baby. It's a whole thing, and like you say, it's like a little knot that slowly unravels, and it's a mystery as to what's going on, and it's really great.
I actually recommend this movie. I recommend these movies because if you're a fan of film, you're not a fan of people who slap stuff together with just a whole bunch of special effects, boom boom in your face. What is the other thing? Fan service, any of that stuff. They take the subject matter, the director and the writer, right? And they put it together in such a way to where it's paced really well. That it's told out to you in a in a way that where you can understand it. Okay, you can. You just have to open your ears and watch and just sit there. You can't be distracted. If you're a distracted moviegoer, these aren't films for you. Okay, these are for people who actually like to sit there, be like, okay, and then that was that. And then that is that. And then that's going to lead to that. And boom.
Right.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, both of these films are like really like dense and heady, kind of thinkers movies, right? You know, and to me, that's like such a breath of fresh air. Like, especially after watching the last two movies we saw with Halloween and Saw, where, I mean, god damn, like those movies, they feel brain dead compared to these films, right? They feel brain dead, and they feel impatient. Like Denis Villeneuve has like a crazy amount of patience that he just lets flow through his films. He will just allow a shot to just breathe, and and just let that awesome music just play out, just ring out for a long time. In Blade Runner 2049, he has these long, just like in Dune, he has these like long landscape shots. But in Blade Runner 2049, it's like this like techno droning music that happens the whole time. And it is so unnerving. It makes you feel uncomfortable and ominous. Like it's excellent. Excellent stuff.
It's like what we say about with directors that do fight scenes. If you are a director that films shaky cam and you have different cuts within it, you're not getting the true performance. If you just sit your camera in one spot on a wide lens, maybe do about 2 or 3 cameras around, but they're all wide, you get the full performance.
And you know Jackie Chan, who has also directed films, and obviously he is an amazing stunt choreographer. This is one of the things that he is frustrated with American films, especially action films. He's frustrated by how many cuts are in the action scenes, how many cuts are in the film. He's like, if you've got people who are talented, if you hire the right people, you don't need to work so hard. You're right. They're doing it for you.
They know there's fighting going on, but they cannot really see very clear what's going on. Like an American movie, you can see there's a lot of movement. When the camera angle movement, that means the actor, they don't know how to fight. The director used the angle. Then the audience just very dizzy. So when I'm fighting, it's more like steady. It's not moving. Let the camera, let the audience see what I'm fighting.
And Denis Villeneuve, he hires a lot of really great people to make his movies look amazing. and he just lets their artistry just like ring out, and it's quite the sight. It feels like a spectacle. Like, I don't know the last time I've seen like a true spectacle movie. You know what I mean? Like, it feels like you're watching something special. You know, credit to Denis Villeneuve for getting back on the horse, because, like I said, Blade Runner 2049, it's a movie that I enjoy quite a lot. It bombed. It did not do well, and he even said himself that he's surprised that he even is working anymore after that bomb. You know, because again, it was critically acclaimed, but it didn't make any money, and so he was very surprised. So kudos to him for not changing his style. Like, he's very consistent. He essentially did Blade Runner again. It's a little bit faster than Blade Runner, and Dune is a little faster, and there's a lot more dialogue, probably because it's based off a book, but it is still very clearly a Denis Villeneuve movie. Like, he has not changed at all. Kudos to that man.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and give my rating on this film and Blade Runner. Let's go Blade Runner first. So Blade Runner 2049. I did, like I said before, I did not watch the Harrison Ford Blade Runner. Based on just this film alone, I enjoyed it because it wrapped me in with the mystery. You gave me a mystery, Mr.
Villeneuve.
I'm
not even sure if I'm pronouncing it right. I'm just doing my best, y'all.
Man. Villeneuve, you gave me a mystery. You gave me something that was intriguing, that had me in my seat to just, think. You had me think. You didn't tell me to turn my brain off to watch this film. And so because of that, I gotta give this movie an 8.5. The Blade Runner 2049.
So I had already seen Blade Runner 2049. I saw it in theater. I've seen it. I own this movie. I actually really quite adore this movie. And I'll be honest, I had a lot more time to just like think about Blade Runner 2049, especially after the repeat viewings and things like that. Unlike Dune, which I have seen Dune twice, but for Blade Runner, I've seen it so many times. And this was the movie where Denis Villeneuve showed up on my radar, where I was like, this guy's doing something new. He's doing something different. You know what I mean? Like there are directors who get a lot of hype, but it's all like air, right? There's not much there. I bag on Zack Snyder all the time. I think he's one. I think Christopher Nolan is looking in that direction, where I don't think he's as creative as people seem to think he is. He seems to repeat himself a lot. But I think Denis Villeneuve has got it. Like, this dude knows what he's doing. And this movie is a testament to that. So I quite enjoyed Blade Runner 2049. And I'm going to match your 8.5. I think it is awesome. I always recommend this film to people who are like serious. I probably wouldn't recommend it to like my mom or something, right? Because she's gonna be on the phone or something while the movie's on. Can't. No, exactly, no. But if you like to sit down and like watch a movie, it's excellent. It's excellent. Blade Runner 2049 also has, full disclosure, me and Tyrone chit-chatted about this film before this over the phone, and this film has a lot of like feminist themes going on, but it handles them kind of awkwardly. And there are a lot of YouTube videos, I'm sure you can find them if you're looking for them, for how awkwardly the feminist thoughts and ideas are portrayed in this film. Like, you can tell it comes from a good place, but it ain't that great. It's a little funky. So that kind of stuff knocks off points. But and I can only think of that stuff because I've seen the movie a million times. For someone like you who's only seen it once, you have a completely different experience. But all of that is just me talking a long time. I like this movie.
I was like, dang. That's what I was saying.
And that's kind of the point. That it's,
you guys see, when I just said that, it just like, dang. Okay. So
a lot of nudity in Blade Runner 2049. They're like, what?
I gave this film 8.5. They gave this film 8.5. So you guys watching on HBO Max, if you have it, get to it.
You're special. Your story isn't over yet. There's still a page left.
Now, with Dune. Dune was a pleasant surprise for me. I thought I was going to have a snooze fest I'm not gonna understand it. I'll have to call Devin and be like, man, what was this? What is that? How? Huh? I don't get that. But because it was written so well, man, I had no choice but to just be like, I understand every single bit of this thing. It's amazing. And that with all the visual aspects and the Hans Zimmer score and the great acting in this film, this gets a 9.5, people.
Wow. Okay.
9.5. Go see it.
Yeah, I really enjoyed Dune as well. And I'm not a fanboy over the book. Again, I don't really recommend the book because it's long and weird, but I have read it, and it's incredible how close this movie was to the book. And they did that without it being awkward and weird. And again, that shows a lot of just as excellent from Denis Villeneuve. Like I said, this man got it. Like whatever it is, he got it because he's killing the game right now. So
patience with a fine comb.
Yep, I agree. I really enjoyed this film, but I'm gonna give it a solid 8. I can't give it above an 8, only because I think I enjoyed Blade Runner 2049 better. Dune was good, but I felt like it ended kind of abruptly. It felt like the movie just kind of like ran out of gas and then it just cuts out, and you're like, oh, that's weird. And how does the movie run out of gas when we're only a sixth of the way through the book? Like, there's a lot more story to tell, and it was like they just didn't want to. So it is to me an incomplete story. So I want full stories. I don't like movies that end without a beginning, middle, and end. But all that to say, I did really enjoy this film, and I think Denis Villeneuve has. Man, I'm super excited to see what he does next. But I can't give it higher than 2049. I still enjoyed that one better.
Which is hopefully what he does next is the sequel, but we don't know. The movie was made for 165 million, which is probably a little bit more than that. And numbers that came back through the weekend, at least by Sunday worldwide, was over 220 million. So that's not a big profit, if any at all.
No.
So
that is good for these days, for this coronavirus days, people aren't going to the theater. It's still really great, but Denis Villeneuve still has not pulled a profit, which is a shame. Like, shameful, especially when you got
and it's not his fault.
Films.
It ain't his fault.
I think it is kind of his fault, and I think this is
can't be.
I think it is, and I think this is one of the reasons why I can't give Dune a higher score. I'm not sure if this is accessible to everyone. You know what I mean? I'm not sure if this can reach a wide enough audience. Like I said, this is
it's not Venom.
No, it's not Venom. No. I can't recommend this movie for everyone, right? I recommend it for people who are serious about film and they really enjoy being patient with the film, but I don't think that describes most people. I think that's the reason why his movies are not profitable. To be fair though, I don't get any of this money. I don't get a rat's ass, right? I'm not getting any money from these profits. So I
just want a story.
Exactly.
Bro.
So I hope this movie does well so I can get a sequel. I don't care about Warner Brothers pockets. I don't care. But I want a sequel. And that's really good. That's great. I can't think of the last time I saw a science fiction film where I was like, damn, can't wait for the sequel. It's the second the credits rolled, I was already thinking about a sequel. That's quite an achievement. So I really enjoyed this film. You know what this movie also reminded me of? This movie reminded me a lot of The Green Knight, where The Green Knight was super patient, super patient, and it was kind of whimsical, had kind of a dream logic going on. Now, Dune doesn't have a dream logic. Dune's logic is pretty rock solid, but it is very like patient and slow.
No, I think I gave that one a 10. Did I get that one 10, right?
I can't remember, but hey, check out our video. We're gonna put the card right here. Yeah. Boom, and you can find out.
I gave it an 8.5. Devin gave it an 8. And that is our review for the 2021 film, Dune, Part 1. So we'd like to thank you guys for clicking on this video, man. We really appreciate you guys. Our numbers is going up. Our views is going up. If you down with this, go ahead and click that subscribe button, man. Really, really, really helps us out. We love it. Check out some of the other content, which is like the What If episodes, the Loki episodes. We're gonna have some more reaction episodes coming up soon with other shows coming up. And also, you can leave a like on this video. We really do appreciate it if you do. Or you can leave a thumbs down on this video, whichever one you choose. It is your opinion, but just remember one thing, people. It's mostly wrong. You guys have a good day. Go see the movie in the theaters. All right?
How's it go?
It's like easy, homie. What? Wow.